Dan the Wheelman here, and my very special guest today is very obviously a Ford F-150 Raptor. You've got those great amber marker lights on top of the big grille that's got the Ford scripting on it, big tires, flared fenders, the Raptor scripting down the side of the pickup bed there, all that good stuff. But as you look more closely at it, you might start asking yourself a few questions. Questions like, why do those tires seem a little bit too big? Why does that hood bulge seem a little bit too big? And why is the Raptor logo on it? Why are one of the R's there red? What's with all these little 8 decals and a couple of V8 decals splattered all over the paintwork? What's that all about? Might also be asking yourself, why is this guy taking the time to painstakingly place a nifty 1/18 scale model of a Shelby GT500 Mustang on top of this Raptor supercharger here? In fact, why is there a supercharger at all? Don't all Raptors come with a twin turbo V6? Well, it's got that supercharger because this isn't your granddaddy's F-150 or even your granddaddy's F-150 Raptor. This is the Raptor R, and that means the existence under that big bulging hood ahead of me there of a 5.2 liter supercharged V8 from, that's right, the Shelby GT500 Mustang. And that means, oh man, that means big smiles and a lot of acceleration in not a lot of time. So you're going to want to be careful. The GT500 Mustang is no longer, there will not be one in 2023. So this is the only way you can get that great Predator V8, as it's called. Predator, Raptor, pretty good. Is it a pickup? The same company that makes the first mass-produced full EV pickup also makes a Shelby Mustang powered version. Man, oh man, talk about crossing boundaries. That's 700 horsepower and 640 pound-feet of torque. That's detuned a little bit from what you get with the Shelby, but it is incredibly powerful. Yes, it's got a little bit less power than does the Ram TRX, which we're going to be obviously comparing this to till the end of time, but it weighs less than the TRX does, so it's actually quicker I've seen it quicker in most tests by 0.4 of a second, which is quite a lot in the world of 0 to 60, than the Ram TRX. And what does that 0.4 get you? That gets you, according to Motor Trend, 0 to 60 miles per hour, so about 0 to 97 kilometers an hour in 3.4 seconds. 3.4 seconds. Remember when the McLaren F1, no one ever thought would beat it with its 3.2 or 4 or whatever it did? It's 0 to 60 in back in the early 90s. Well, now you've got like a half-ton pickup doing it and doing it well. That's incredible. So 0 to 60 and yeah, what in 3.4 seconds, 60 to 100 in a few, I don't know, around the same. 100 and more and I don't know, around the same as that too. This is an incredibly fast truck. They've had to do some tweaking. The suspension's a bit different than the regular Raptor because that engine is heavier. The TRX has Bilstein shocks. This has Fox dampers in it. And it's built as an off-roader, but it's got all that power, not because it's meant to really climb rocks on trails, but because it's meant to like go quickly off-road, which is why I've got a Baja mode here, which I think is fantastic. This thing is really, really quick. And it sounds great while doing it. There are 3 levels of exhaust to choose from. I'm in normal right now. Here's quiet, so you don't wake up the neighbors, whatever. And you've got sport. Oh, we're not done yet. We end with Baja exhaust. Oh, that sounds good. It sounds good, but it is somewhat kind of computer boosted, I guess. and you don't have quite the supercharger whine that you get in the TRX, which is too bad. That was one of my favorite features of that vehicle, was just the event that is the sound of its turbocharger, its supercharger rather, sorry, which is the size of like the engine on a Honda Civic. Anyway, but this doesn't have quite that much of an attitude, but it's not that it's quiet. Obviously, it still sounds awesome. It's set to all four wheels through 10-speed automatic transmission with these paddle shifters here, which are actually, if we activate manual mode with the press of a button here, quite responsive when you hit them, and they're nice and big too, so you can reach them with like all my 5 fingers can't even spread, well, almost around the swept, kind of length of those paddles. So yeah, this is a fun to drive, quick vehicle. Let's go back to drive here, and does so. It's got kind of a bigger hood scoop than the regular Raptor does, I think, and a couple other little bits as well in here. I've got the red centering band on top. The Raptor logo on top of the center armrest here is giving this cool like stitched leathery look to it, which I love, and it's got the red R on it as well to match what we saw on the exterior there. So yeah, this is really cool. Now, you're not going to be winning any autocross courses with it. Again, while you do, I think, have trail turn assist and some of the off-road aids that other off-roading Fords get, it's not really meant for that tight maneuvering on off-road. I mean, it can do it, but it's meant for more going fast over long stretches, which is why they've tuned it, I guess, as they have. It is somewhat understeery for sure. Again, you're not going to be winning any autocross courses with it. It is understeery. It's got a big wide track on it, and the steering wheel is huge. So there is a definite disconnect between what's going on at my fingertips and what's going on at the road ahead of me. I guess I can't fault it too much for that. While it does have a Shelby, sports car engine in it, it's not a sports car. It's one that's meant to be driven more on a daily basis, and as we'll see in a moment, it's got lots of stuff to help you do that, including the ride, which, though differently tuned as mentioned before, is still quite pliant out here on the highway. We turn that on, the exhaust down to normal now, or quiet. There goes that NVH problem. There isn't much from up the tires either, and the ride is quite smooth. So all of that kind of tweaking actually makes this much more livable than the TRX, which I've also driven. And it's a heavy, hard-hitting vehicle, as this is too, but you feel it more in the TRX. It just feels that much kind of bulkier, and it's not quite as comfortable to drive as this one is. And I think Ford saw what Ram had done with that vehicle, like, all right, we can get the power, let's just, put the GT500 motor in there. How can we really differentiate our truck from theirs? And I think they've done so by making it just that much easier to live with on the road. You could daily this thing. I mean, it's a challenge. It's quite wide. And it's got, while there isn't a huge amount of steering feel on it, there is understeer. The steering response is actually pretty good, which can be a little bit of a problem when you're this wide, because small turns of the wheel make it do much more. And if you're tight in traffic, and you don't want to clip that guy as you change lanes behind you there, you got to be careful with that steering. But, it's livable in town. I mean, it's super tall. You can only get 37-inch tires here. Can't get the 35s that the V6 powered Raptor gets, only the 37s. So that's going to affect the handling of it as well, but it's going to make it all that much better in off-road situations. And while I haven't done any off-roading on this, as you saw from the B-roll, we've had a ton of snow here in Vancouver recently, and this car was perfectly, or this truck I should say, was perfectly fine in that circumstance. It was great in that circumstance. Very little going to stop it. Now, as far as the performance stuff goes, you have an R button here, which calls up the My mode, which allows you to tune different aspects of the drive, the steering, the suspension, the exhaust. That can all be changed via the button marked R. There's also buttons on here marked with a shock absorber and a steering wheel that allow you to set those parameters on their own. You don't have to fumble with a bunch of buttons here in the infotainment display. You just got to press them right here, and I think that is awesome. I love that feature. I mean, big steering wheel, yeah, but lots of room for buttons without making it look too cluttered. So nice job, Ford. I don't have a launch control, but there is some kind of gymnastics you can do with your fingertips, that a combination of the auto hold button, sport mode, some other things, traction control off, that'll let you have like some really fun launches in this vehicle, but you don't need to do all of that to have a fun launch. I mean, this thing has 700 horsepower. Not hard to get the most when it comes to a whole shot when you have power like that. Otherwise, when it comes to the drive modes, it's very F-150 like in here. You've got all the usual. You've got normal, you've got off-road, you've got Baja, you've got rock crawl, you have slippery, all that stuff, tow haul even if you want, sport, all those kinds of things. You have all that, and it changes how much power is being given to various parts of the drivetrain, all that kind of stuff, depending on what mode you're in. I've got it in sport right now. Firm up the steering a little bit, firm up the suspension a little bit. Not a magnetic suspension system. Probably not something you necessarily want when it comes to really hardcore off-roading. You want something a little more mechanical, a little tougher than that. And speaking of toughness, this has a reinforced chassis as well over the standard Raptor to again make it be able to slam those sand dunes, that much better. But I'm out here on the road and the highway, and I'm having a great old time just in this circumstance right here. And after all that, you've got all the F-150-ness, I guess, that's made the F-150 the biggest selling vehicle in like the world for something like the past 9,000 years or whatever it is. Aluminum construction, 5.5-foot pickup bed that has all the doohickeys other F-150s get. The tailgate that's got a spot for your iPad, your drink, a work surface, a ruler, C-clamp spots. There's even a bed access system, power outlets back there. In the back seat, I've got in the Super Crew cab. The Super Crew cab with a 5.5-foot bed is the only way you can spec your Raptor or Raptor R. Indeed, a longer pickup bed means longer wheelbase, which actually can be detrimental to the things the Raptor and the Raptor R are meant to be good at, like off-roading. Anyway, lots of room back there with a flat load floor and under-seat storage. Power sliding rear window. Up front, I've got the fold-away shifter system, which, when folded away, allows for the deployment of this nice big work surface here. Super comfortable seats that are both heated and cooled. Sunroof, Ford Sync, which comes with a 14-inch display, B&O sound, or B&O speakers, I should say, Apple CarPlay, digital gauge cluster, steering wheel with all these buttons on it that are nicely laid out and easy to read and access for your trip computer, cruise control system, driver aids, and so on. I've got the ability to tow up to 8,200 pounds here, and I've got the Pro Trailer Backup Assist system, which helps people who are new to towing or who tow a number of different trailer sizes. And of course, I've got tons of space up here. It's fantastic, and the big bonus of all that is got that bloody great big V8 slung out ahead of you there. Actually, I think in this context, the practicality stuff's more the bonus than V8's like a necessity. Now is the point in the review where I start to say what I don't like about the vehicle being featured, because no vehicle is perfect, right? Well, I'm going to be honest, I'm having a hard time doing that here. There's just so much to like. Yeah, we can talk about the price. As tested, this is $150,000 in Canada, which puts it about $50,000 more than a standard Raptor. There's the fact you have to fill it up with 91 octane, and it has a gas tank that's about the size of an 18-wheeler. There's the fact that with that wide track, it's about as easy to park as that 18-wheeler, but these are the kinds of things you expect. That's the cost of doing business in crazy vehicle segments like off-road vehicles or like extreme off-road vehicles or supercars. People buy those, expect that kind of stuff. What I think they could have done, what I think they should have done, is actually make it flashier, believe it or not. You put this beside TRX, the TRX is always going to have more presence, even if it doesn't have any graphics package on it. It just has more presence. People are going to say, oh, maybe you like the stealthiness of the Raptor R. Nobody buying a V8 powered, supercharged, crazy off-road truck wants to be stealthy. You're not fooling anybody. Everyone knows what you're driving. In fact, people buy this stuff probably want to be as flashy as possible. You know, I have to agree with my friends over the straight pipes when they say how that the Bronco Raptor, which doesn't even get a V8, it gets a 3-liter twin-turbo V6, it looks like a vehicle that shouldn't even be allowed on the road thanks to its crazy fender flares and all that. But the same thing can't be said for the Raptor. It looks a lot like the Raptor R. It looks a lot like the standard one, even with the graphics on it. And I guess that's kind of too bad. I mean, give me some racing stripes, like those ones you saw in that little model car I showed you. Or give me some pinstripes, like the hat I'm wearing. Well, I don't know about that, but maybe I'm wearing this hat to make up for the lack of flashiness I'm dealing with here. Other than that, though, it's all love all the time. The question is, though, and some would say this is the only question, is would I have or should you buy the F-150 Raptor R over the Ram TRX? Well, having driven both, I can say that there's definitely the price to consider. The Ram TRX starts at around the same price as the non-R Raptor does, believe it or not. And that's with the V8 that has more power, only a little bit more, but more power nevertheless than this one right here. But this is the truck that's easier to live with. It's a little bit softer, a little bit less heavy feeling. It's got that great bed access system. All the other kind of features I talked before, the flat load floor and the tailgate with all the rulers on it, all the kind of stuff. Meant to be used as a truck and inside. It's got a good infotainment system, comfortable seats, and good space. But the TRX is just more. It's louder with that great super audible supercharger whine. It's meaner looking with its marker lights tucked into the hood scoop there. Yeah, this has a Baja mode, but so does the TRX. And in addition to that, it's got the option to put a Baja style spare tire in the pickup bed right from the factory. And in addition to Baja mode, there's jump mode. This truck, or that truck that you could buy off the showroom floor, has a system that uses computers to help you stick jumps. That's crazy, and it claws some points back in terms of livability as well with a nicer interior. Digital rearview mirror, which is nice to have when you've got that crazy tire system back there. Add stuff like launch control system and the SRT performance pages, and it's just the crazier of these two crazy trucks. All that other stuff doesn't matter. At this level, you want a vehicle that really opens your eyes, and the TRX does it more than the Raptor R does. I love fast Fords, don't get me wrong. I've driven the Bronco, you've seen me do it. I loved it. I love the Mustangs. But in this case, the TRX just has it. It just has it. Yeah, if you want the one that's a little easier to live with, the Raptor R is for you. But if you want the crazier crazy truck, and I think a lot of people do, the TRX has to be the way to go. Anyway, thank you for tuning into this review of the 2023 Ford F-150 Raptor R. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. If not, no hard feelings, of course. You can follow me on Twitter at Dan the Wheelman and on Instagram at Dan the Wheelman as well. So thanks again for watching this video. Until next time, sayonara, folks.